If you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys know that I've been on some wild side quests from the mainstream decks, and my most recent side quest was Perona at Gen Con. I was really under the impression that I could beat every deck but RP Law, but of course I got cooked by RP Law twice on Gen Con day one, and I never posted my day two results, but I actually also lost to two RP Laws on day two as well. And it looks like with the RP Law ban, another extremely good player has also realized that Perona is a really strong deck. Let's go ahead and look at what they're rocking with. So this is the world champions Twitter here. If you look here, we got Wrong in the middle. That's whose deck list we'll be looking at. You know, Jackson on the right, Hervoy on the left. But let's keep scrolling down. So if we look at his most recent tweet here, he's been testing a lot of decks after the ban. And one of the decks he started testing was Green Black Perona, which he played on 2 different days, 1-3-2 the first day, 5-0 the next day. And he thinks this deck is really, really strong. Like he's calling it BDIF for OPO 8.75, but it don't even matter that it's OPO 8. Look at all the cards in this deck list. None of these cards are from OPO 8. So this is also a deck list we can play in OPO 7, and this is actually like a deck that we could even potentially consider for Nats. So today I would like to go ahead and explain this deck list. Let me just get this out the way now. I personally also consider Perona for Nats. I think my biggest issue with Perona right now is I do believe it loses to good Lucci players. I'm gonna be honest. I think you do lose to good Lucci players, but if you dodge Lucci or you play bots, like you might win. But anyways, let me go ahead and explain the list. This is Guanrong's Perona list here, and it might be a little confusing to understand what's going on for people who haven't played Perona before. So basically, I would imagine Perona so if you've already seen Lucci, right? I would imagine Perona as a black deck that trades Lucci's ability to pop 2 different units, right? Because Lucci pops 2 different units in exchange for a card draw engine with You Can Be My Samurai, Otama, and Momo. You can just get a lot of free cards, right? Like if you play Momo early, they have to attack into it. That basically makes up for a leader being 4 life. And this leader can actually rest your opponent's units. So even if your opponent opens like a Spandom or something, you can rest your Spandom, attack into it, and then you can use Momo to draw into a card, then they have to attack into the Momo. And then obviously we also have this card here. You may rest 2 characters to draw 2. This can earn us a lot of advantage. And it also really helps with unsearchable cards like Moria and Zora, right? Because we're drawing 2 extra cards that get us closer to that Moria and Zora, which is very, very strong. So Perona basically just trades Lucci's ability to double pop for crazy advantage engine, and you also get access to green cards, which means yes, we do have access to 9-cost Zoro, which is one of the strongest cards after the ban list. If you guys watched my ban list video, I was like, yo, even Bonnie could be a really good deck now because you can just jam 3 Zoros and call it a day. Zoro just gets you free wins against a lot of decks. This includes like BY Luffy, Enel, etc. Obviously there is a bit of counterplay, like Enel's Raigo, BY Luffy might tech like Kuzans and pistols and stuff, but for the most part it is hard for these decks to consistently answer 9-cost Zoro. So I guess in that case, I would say the main appeal to Perona is playing a black deck that can actually beat BY Luffy, right? Because Lucci can kind of beat BY Luffy, but the matchup's pretty strange. But as Perona, you should feel pretty solid into BY Luffy because you can rest their Sabos. Like if they don't have 2 Sabos, you can just rest a Sabo and then jam into their face, right? And even on top of that, we also have the 9-cost Zoro, which is also really strong guard against BY Luffy. So that is the main appeal here. So let's go ahead and explain the list. So I did already mention the advantage engine here. So Momo searches for any Land of Wano card, which means we can search for Otama, which also searches for Land of Wano. We can search for our Samurai, which lets us draw 2 raw cards, and we can search for Ryuma. And this is one of the most important units in this deck. When you play this character, you get to KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with the cost of 4 or less, right? And our leader ability allows us to rest characters with the cost of 4 or less. So this card's extremely efficient. So this is why we're still able to beat aggro decks like Blue Doflamingo, Moria. You just starve them in the early game, you tap their unit, you swing at them, your opponent maybe defends it, then you just play Ryuma and you kill their unit anyways. So they're going low on hand size in the early game while we're calling powerful units like Ryuma. Like it's 6k power and you pop a unit on play, that's absolutely insane. And if you pair Ryuma with Suru, we're popping 6-cost, right? Because we can do -2 to unit and rest it. Or if we combo Ryuma with Toy Soldier, we're actually popping 7-cost, which is really, really strong. Since we're talking about Ryuma, let's actually talk about a combo here. So you can see that Toy Soldier here says activate main. You may trash this character, give it to one of your opponent's characters -3. This card is going to combo extremely well with Moria. So basically the combo here is you play Hiyori, which Hiyori is you may trash this character, play up to one character with the Land of Wano with the cost of 5 or less. So you're going to be playing this Ryuma off of the Hiyori, right? So let's say we play Moria, Toy Soldier, and Hiyori. We can pop Toy Soldier to make our opponent 7 cost 4 costs. Then we can use the Hiyori to play Ryuma in order to pop the 7 costs. So this means we get to do something unique, right? We're a black deck that can pop a 7 cost on our 8 down turn with no down commitment. That's pretty sick, right? So like against Bonnie, if they played like a Hody Jones or something on their 7 down turn, bam, we can pop it just like that. So that's a very strong combo. And an even stronger combo is at 10 Dawn. If we have Soldier and Moria, we can actually play Soldier, use its effect, use Moria to call the Soldier we just played back, and use Hiyori, and that actually allows us to pop 10 costs, which is absolutely insane. So Hiyori is going to be like one of like the really nice combo pieces here. This is why some people play 3 of this card, but like you don't always use it. So like 2 is like the most frequent number. I'm still kind of unsure on where I want the ratio at myself. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I cut an Izo for like another Hiyori, if I cut like this for another Hiyori or something like that. But yeah, that's just one of the most important combos of this deck. And the rest of this deck should be pretty easy to understand, right? Like Izo is just a searchable 2K. You can use its effect, but it's pretty rare to use it. Maybe if you didn't draw like a Suru, Ice Age, or Toy Soldier, you can like do -1 with the leader ability and then use Izo to rest a 5 class and attack into it. But I'd say that's pretty niche. I doubt you're doing that very often. Next up, you have the common 4 Borsellino, 4 Sabo engine here. If you guys read my Lucci Patreon article, I mentioned how I was satisfied with only playing 6 cost Brook, because 6 cost Brook, like, because you're already favored as black when you go second, so like 6 cost Brook is a way to like answer other black decks like Sabos on 5 and stuff like that. It's really, really strong. So I thought that you could play that instead of Borsellino. Obviously, they're different cards, but like in the mirror match, like Borsellino is mainly mirror tech to me. So sorry, it's it's hard to swing on the fly. But anyways, I think 6 House Brook doesn't fit very well in this deck because we already have a lot of counterlists. And then Borsellino also helps with the fact that we are a 4-life leader. So because we're a 4-life leader, just having a blocker to play on 4 when going second, or guaranteeing that, not guaranteeing, but like having high odds of playing a blocker on 5 going first is going to be very, very important. So I do think this 4 Borsellino, 4 Sabo ratio is very, very important. Next up, Krieg. If you guys saw my Twitter, I recently made a tweet about Krieg saying that I hate this card. I'm still really on the fence about this card. I understand that it's very strong against Doflamingo, but I feel like the plan of starving Doflamingo, attacking them, making them give us a card, and then Ryumaing is like a very, very strong strat. But I guess Krieg is like backup in case we don't draw Ryuma or stuff like that, can be very strong. And I know in 08, Doflamingo got crazy. Like, I think they have a way to call like 3-4 drops in one turn or something crazy like that. So maybe that's even more incentive to play Krieg, right? Because you get consistent double pops against blue. But I'm just not really feeling this card. Because, like, I know this card reads really sweet. It's like, oh, KO up to 2 of your opponent's rested characters. But think about it, right? If you play Ryuma to KO their first, like, to KO the first unit they play, then they play another unit, then you can just rest the unit and attack into it. Like, you don't even need Krieg. You can actually just rest the unit and attack into it or play another Ryuma. Obviously, Krieg is like the best possible option, right? Like, being able to establish his 6-7k while popping their unit is very, very strong. But it feels win more because like Ryuma's in the early game was already strong enough. Then Moria and Zoro in the late game is strong enough in general. So this card does feel like kind of win more to me, kind of awkward. It feels like you're never popping 2 units in the early game. And then once you get to the late game, you'd rather play like a Moria or Zoro instead. Or I know I was playing Sabo when RP Law was still a thing, so I would have even like rather played Sabo instead. But Krieg definitely does have potential, so I guess I'll try it out again because I was hating on this card, but I mean, the world champ's playing it. Maybe I got to consider it myself, right? Next up, Moria. Like I already mentioned the Moria combo earlier, so Moria's just going to be nuts in this deck in general. You can also do Ice Age Moria to play Ryuma. That allows you to pop 9 costs. And the neat thing is that you can either play Otama to draw another card off your Moria while popping a unit, or you can actually play Toy Soldier to set up to pop another unit on the following turn. So you do have some neat combos with the Ice Age Moria play here. So I do think Ice Age is definitely a 4. I know a lot of Japanese players and a lot of English players were only playing 2 of this card. But I know I was a huge fan of 4, and Kai ended up being a huge fan of 4 as well. And I was like, yo, like let's just play 4 Ice Age. It's crazy. Then we have the 9 Zoro. Obviously, this card's just insane right now. It's good against black yellow Luffy. It's good against Ray. It's good against any non-black deck, or I guess not blue either, because blue orange red rock. But for the most part, you can just stomp on matchups for free, right? Like you can just go crazy against like Anel, Bonnie, BY, all of that. So being able to have a card that just is very polarizing in those matchups is very, very nice. And then I already mentioned the Ice Age Samurai. So the last card we have is Because of the Side of Justice. Well, I'm not even gonna try to read. I don't know what just happened, but this is the last card we're talking about here. I actually stopped playing this card myself. I don't think I've ever played this card ever since removing the Baby 5 engine. So it is interesting that he chose to play this card. I do see he plays 4, 8, 12, 16, 18, 22 counterless cards. So I guess in order to make 22 counterless cards feel a little less bad, he did chose to play this card. I do think that's a fair conclusion to make. This is a card that I might now start considering myself, because obviously the GOAT Guanrong is playing it. Okay, I'm glazing kind of crazy, but like, you know, it's the world champion, right? You feel me? Like, not that that's an excuse to glaze, but like, you know, like we gotta listen to him type shit. Like, no glaze. I'm just saying, right? So I would like to reconsider this card. I do think it is fair to include this when they are playing 22 bricks in their list. So this is it for the list. Maybe I'll show some gameplay of it at some point. If you guys want to see the Perona list that I ran at Gen Con, you guys can check it out on Patreon. I did post this article about it there. With that being said, let's go ahead and debrief. This is it for the Perona video. Maybe people won't call me crazy now for having tried Perona at Gen Con. It does feel kind of good to have the world champion on the same kind of cope you're on, right? But I do genuinely think Perona's a really strong deck, but similar to my issue with Rebecca, I do think that the Black Mirror matches are just a little rough, because the way it works, like even logically, it should be pretty easy to understand, right? Like Lucci, their Moria is calling 2 units while killing 2 of your units, right? Our Moria can only kill 1 of their units. So at some point, they just out-resource us. And also, unlike Lucci, Perona eventually runs out of removal, right? Like, you can't draw all your Ice Sages. Like, Ice Sage is like the main removal card. You can't just draw all of your Ice Sages, right? But Lucci just, like, it just bullshits out removal. It's crazy, because I've tested the Perona versus Lucci matchup so much, and they can always clear your unit. Even when I was playing Sabo and I was doing, like, Ice Sage Sabo clear 2 units, they could just always clear it. Like they have so much cost minus. Like it's not only Ice Age, they also have Tempest Kick, which draws them into even more cost minus, right? They have Kaku, which is like -3 to stuff. They're more like, I don't know. The Lucci deck just feels overall stronger in Black Mirrors in general, just because of that Moria Lucci combo. It's just too strong in Black Mirrors, but I do think this deck does have a bit of potential, and I do think it's genuinely strong against like all non-black decks in general, aside from like BY Luffy. Obviously strong into BY Luffy, but let me know what you guys think about Perona, if you guys have been cooking up anything spicy for it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Yo, one piece.